Farage. Come on. Farage says that Donald Trump, he's a mentor to Donald Trump. And it just shows that rubbish adds to rubbish. And that's the reason why we're out here, to oppose Donald Trump, but also to oppose Nigel. We have to talk about Nigel. Because Nigel is a problem as well. Nigel's using the same politics as Donald Trump. And it's time we all came together to start organising against these people. If we don't organise against them, they'll destroy the society we stand in. I'm going to ask some people to come forward and...
Okay, we're in central London right now, outside the US Embassy, just in central London in the UK, and there's a stand up to racism protest going on just outside in response to the presidential victory of Donald Trump this morning.
Thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming firstly at such a short notice. Absolutely, we should remember at times like this, when people are rightfully down at the election of someone like Donald Trump, that actually there's only to tell half the story. While there is a rise in racism, actually there's also something else going on. There's a rise in anti-racism as well, and you all absolutely demonstrate that. It is disgusting when we look at a man who says he will build a wall to keep Mexicans out. It's absolutely disgusting that a man who said he wants to ban Muslims from going to the United States is able to be elected the President of America. But let's be absolutely clear, as we see in America now, we stand in solidarity with all those people who take to the streets saying, we will not let this country be consumed by hate and racism and division and sexism. We will stand up united against that. We are a part of that movement to drive back the likes of Trump, to drive back the likes of Nigel Farage, whose only answer to the fall in living standards that people's face is to blame migrants, is to blame Muslims, is to blame refugees in Calais and elsewhere. We are part of a movement that says no to racism, no to the likes of Donald Trump, and we will drive back these people. The truth is, it's absolutely right when Wayman talks about Marine Le Pen actually rubbing her hands, because she can see actually that what this election for Donald Trump will do is it will mobilise and it will embolden racists, not just in America, but actually across Europe as well. The challenge for us in Britain is to drive back racism. We've got a long tradition in this country of black and white people standing together to drive back racists, from the National Front, from the BNP to the EDL, from UKIP. We will continue to drive back racists in this country, but we can never be complacent. This year, in March, on UN Anti-Racism Day, we want a demonstration in America, but we can't necessarily affect those changes. What we can do is affect the changes here. We can make sure that this year's demonstration for UN Anti-Racism Day is the biggest demonstration yet, that we can drive back the current of racism that we currently see in Britain and across the world. The first demonstration I went on was against the war because I didn't agree with the war in Iraq. Actually, people said to me, what did that demonstration do? Did that stop the war in Iraq? No, it didn't. Actually, I think what it did do was create a climate of anti-war for the next decade in Britain. We have an opportunity now to drive back racism, to create a movement that can create a climate of anti-racism, so that our children do not have to drive back, do not have to live in the kind of conditions of Donald Trump and Nigel Farage. We can drive back racism in this country when we stand together. So thanks everyone for coming. And a few chants. Say hey, say ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
We're going to go through every chant, every anti-racist chant, to show we stand in absolute opposition to Trump's politics of hate. So, Black Lives Matter. 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 Okay, let's do the Trump one more time. Say hey. Ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey. Ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey. Ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey. Ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey. Ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey. Ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Thank you. I now want to welcome. Bit of feedback. I now want to welcome another speaker to say a few words. Sam Garland is the other co-convener of Stand Up to Racism.
Excuse me, we're live on Facebook at the moment. Can I ask you a very quick question to what brings you here today?
Just disappointment, anger.
And can I ask also a quick question? Is obviously it's a democratic vote that was made and a majority of the country has voted for him. What would you say to that in response to that? Is there anything optimistic about that?
This is really, I really don't want to be sorry.
Excuse me, do you mind if I ask you a very quick question?
Yeah, but I can't see a thing.
Sorry.
If
If I can ask you very quickly, obviously this was a democratic vote that took place in the US and a majority of the country has voted for Trump. What would you say in response to that?
Well, I'm shocked and devastated. I can't believe so many Americans being so stupid. I just cannot believe how they have grown up with democratic values. I can't believe how that amount of people could have voted for a racist bigot and a sexist. It's unbelievable and absolutely shocking. I firmly, very much believe in parliamentary democracy, but for this, I start getting my doubts. But then on the other hand, there has been a precedent. Adolf Hitler was democratically elected. Unfortunately, it does happen. And we have got to pull together and fight.
Is there any element of optimism that we can take from this? Is there any optimism for the next 4 years, because he's going to be in as a president for the next 4 years? Is there anything we can take
Well, I really can't see a thing. Maybe the only one is that as he is best mates with another loose cannon, Putin, it's unlikely that he presses the nuclear button. That is maybe the only, at least not against Putin, who knows against whom, but yeah, but apart from that, I don't see much optimism.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Black Lives Matter movement. We are actually seeing in the USA the rebirth of a new civil rights
Do you mind if I ask you a very quick question?
We stand in solidarity
thank
with
you.
this movement. We stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the USA that are fighting.
Can I ask you a very quick question? Okay, can I ask you on camera? So we're actually live on Facebook at the moment. Can I ask you very quickly? You're actually someone from Brooklyn. Can you just give us a very quick?
Over 1,600 people mobilised at our conference a month ago. This conference is huge. It was one of the biggest anti-racist conferences in British history. This is a big thing. We are seeing more people mobilise against racism than we have seen in this country for decades. This is huge. So I ask you, please join us on the 5th of December. Say no to Farage, because he will be trying to get racists to demonstrate outside the Supreme Court to overturn the court ruling on the triggering of Article 50 and the court ruling that meant that Parliament must vote before Article 50 is triggered. Let's stand up to racism on the 5th of December, but let's also, on UN Anti-Racism Day next year, on the 18th of March 2017, let's build the biggest national demonstration
Can I ask you a very quick question? Can I ask you, obviously we're all here for the same reason, but can I ask you, is there any optimism from that we can take from this? Because obviously it's a democratic vote that took place in the US and they decided on Trump. Is there anything optimistic we can come from this?
I think we can see that thanks to this election, we can start raising awareness on a larger scale about those issues that Trump is against. So awareness is definitely something that we need to work on and that we need to pursue in those 4 next years, especially during Trump's presidency.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sammy. Let's have some more joining. Say it loud and say it clear. Donald Trump not welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Donald Trump not welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Donald Trump not welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear. it loud, say it clear.
Donald Trump's not welcome here.
Say hey, say ho. Donald Trump has got to go, say hey.
Hey,
Ho. Donald Trump has got to go, say hey.
hey,
Ho. Donald Trump has got to go, say hey.
hey,
Ho. Donald Trump has got to go, say hey.
hey,
Ho. Donald Trump has got to go, say hey.
hey,
Ho. Donald Trump has got to go, say hey. Ho. Donald Trump has got to go, say hey. Ho. Donald Trump has got to go.
So we're outside the US Embassy in the central London at the moment, and there's a protest going on in response to the victory of Donald Trump this morning. And we're getting a response from a group called Stand Up to Racism, who are here protesting and who have organised this protest.
Are you going to come and say a few words?
And we are right now outside the US Embassy. Excuse me, do you mind if I ask you a very quick question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you, obviously we're all here in response to the victory of Donald Trump in the US. It was a democratic vote that took place, and is there anything optimistic that we can kind of take from this at all for the next 4 years in the US?
Well, I mean, I think it will bring about a lot of people questioning what is happening, and it might create more people like asking what is happening. They might stand up for themselves, protest a bit more. You know, I think it will make people more awake as to what's happening in their political climate.
Thank you.
All round the sides, please give them around the sides.
I am here today to support all the minorities, all the LGBT, all the disabled people, every minority, all the black people, all the women. Today, I've never had anyone like it.
Very much for that passionate speech. As I said, all the way from Liverpool today. It's absolutely fantastic. She's come all the way. We've got David who's just asked to say a few words as well. Who's come on the protest today.
Excuse me, mate. Excuse me, can I get a quick word from you? Just a couple of words, just in response to what's happened today and the result. What are your thoughts on the results today?
Well, I think people are terrified, aren't they, of what Trump can represent. I think part of the problem in the States is I think that there are a lot of people who see themselves as being left behind, right, and stuff. And actually what he tried to combine was a kind of anti-establishment feeling with a pile of racism alongside it and the most awful misogyny with it, really, and stuff over it. And I think the biggest problem, really, has been that whereas Barack Obama was able to bring people out to vote, actually Hillary Clinton hasn't inspired people to go out to vote. I think the real thing is now is that Trump's message really is divide and rule. That his argument is it's Hispanic people, it's black people in the States who are the problem, and actually the movement from both sides of the water has to come together, because that's the same argument that's been happening here. We're told the reason why there's austerity is there are too many migrants, too many refugees. It's rubbish. This country has always had generations of people coming in. I'm Irish, there's 7.5 million of us here, right, stuff, and there's always been waves of immigration, and then just in the States, people are coming from Mexico, anybody else in the world are building that country with the work that they do. And I think that people have got to really not pull the covers over their head. They've got to think it's not time to be demoralised or depressed. We've got to start fighting back against this stuff now.
So the fact that it's a democratic vote, the majority of the US has voted this morning. So what can we take from that?
Well, I think actually you look at the turnout's down. But surprisingly, in some areas there are big turnouts in some states and the rest of it. In other places, actually the votes are lower for both sides. I think what's happening is people look at establishment politics at the minute and they think it doesn't make sense. And that's why sometimes it's horrible when it's to the right, like what's going on with Le Pen and people in France. The other side is Jeremy Corbyn or Bernie Sanders. And actually we've got to build a movement of hope, really, and stuff on the streets and the workplace in our communities. Otherwise, the thing is we leave people to be divided, and that's when they vote for the likes of Trump.
How do you think this the actual result is going to affect the UK in any way?
Well, I think it can end up being part of a sort of ball that seems to be rolling of anybody who comes up with xenophobic or backward ideas gets a vote. But actually, I think that's why I do think we have to look under what's happening. You know, the reason what people can put a bit for Trump for terrible reasons, they also sometimes are going to be sticking two fingers up as far as they see it to the establishment, even though he's a racist billionaire. In this country, some people voted Brexit because they had racist ideas. Other people voted because they're in areas like South Wales, they just lost the steel industry to Europe and stuff. So I think there's complex things going on here. What we've got to get is a movement that can attract people to the left, in my opinion, and not leave them open to whether it's Trump or Nigel Farage or Theresa May.
Did you hear his speech this morning? It was
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
contrasting to how he was speaking during the campaign. What did you think of that?
I think he'll be under pressure now, won't he? Right now he's in office, he'll be under pressure from the people at the top to be reasonable. But the thing is about Trump, the reason he's in is he wasn't reasonable, right, and stuff. And actually now, one of the things it depends on whether ordinary people start to build up a movement and put some pressure on Trump. And are we really going to have a situation where they build a wall and where they have people going around arresting Mexican people and deporting them out of the country? That doesn't have to happen. Ordinary people, decent people can stand up and organise against that, really. And actually, you know, what Barack Obama's thing 8 years ago shows, if he did inspire people, millions of people who don't normally vote would come out and do stuff. The problem is, I think, is people think 8 years on, a lot of people think what changed, right, and stuff. And that's the bitter kind of fruits that I think are coming home around it. We can't let that happen again. We can't afford for that to happen here either.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mike.
Donald Trump's not welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Donald Trump's not welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Donald Trump's not welcome here. Say hey, say ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
I wanted to ask you a quick question, my friend.
Peter, got any
I'm Facebook Live at the moment, so I'm just going to get a couple of questions just regarding the result, just your opinion on what's happened, and what brings you here today as well.
I'd rather not discuss it.
Yeah, mate, can I get a quick question for you, mate? A quick question? Your motivation to be here today, really, just to get your opinion on what's happening in the US at the moment.
Fuck Donald Trump.
So tell us what your opinion is based on what's happened.
Bit of a disaster, really. But
anything optimistic you can take from it? The fact that it was a democratic vote?
yeah, I mean, yeah, to respect the vote, but not the cause.
Say it loud, say it clear. Say it loud, say it clear. Donald Trump's not welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Donald Trump's not welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Donald Trump's not welcome here.
Say it loud so Trump can hear. Say hey, say ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Say hey.
We're on Facebook Live at the moment.
No, I don't want to be on Facebook.
Okay, that's all right. Can I ask you a quick question? Can I just get your response really to what's happened? How do you feel about the fact that Trump's come into power in the US?
All I can say is America's full of idiots. They're stupid. Most of the country's stupid.
Don't mind, just a quick response. Just want to get your opinion to what the result happened in the US.
I'm happy to be here.
Donald Trump has got to go. Donald Trump has got to go. Donald Trump has got to go. Thank you. I'm going to give my voice to the